Good afternoon, everyone. Let's continue with today's global situation. Update. The war has now entered day 17. The US and Israel have continued launching a series of airstrikes on major Iranian cities. In response, Iran has once again deployed one of its most powerful weapons, the Sejjil ballistic missile, as part of its counterattacks. Not only that, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has claimed that most of the missiles used so far were produced over a decade ago, hinting that more advanced weapons may still be reserved. At the same time, the IRGC has openly stated that it is targeting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu later posted on social media to prove he was still alive. Meanwhile, the so-called resistance axis continues its operations. Hezbollah has targeted Israeli positions along the Lebanon border and military-industrial facilities in northern Israel. In Iraq, armed groups have launched new attacks on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad and American military bases. Over in the Strait of Hormuz, despite repeated claims from Donald Trump that Iran has been completely defeated, oil prices have not dropped. In response, the U.S. has attempted to form a naval escort coalition, but few countries have shown willingness to join. Japan, facing a serious energy crisis, has for the first time in 4 years released its strategic oil reserves. Looking at the past 24 hours in detail, between the afternoon of the 15th and early morning of the 16th, U.S. and Israeli forces launched a new wave of airstrikes across Iran. Cities including Isfahan, Hamadan, Dezful, Avaz, and Tehran were heavily targeted. According to Iranian sources, more than 200 targets were struck in western and central regions, including command centers, defense systems, and weapons storage facilities. Israeli forces also targeted key IRGC and Basij headquarters in Hamadan. Footage shows drone launch sites being destroyed, followed by strikes on personnel operating them. The United States has continued deploying bombers and launching cruise missiles from naval assets, although reports suggest these strikes lack precision. From RAF Fairford in the UK, US B-52H strategic bombers have been taking off frequently, carrying long-range air-to-ground missiles. Despite claiming progress, Israeli officials say thousands of targets still remain, and operations could continue for up to 3 more weeks. Netanyahu has reportedly requested talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky regarding drone interception strategies. As for Netanyahu himself, he posted a video online to prove he was alive after rumors spread that he had died. Some users pointed out irregularities in the video, even suggesting it might have been AI-generated. However, whether he is alive or not seems less important than the fact that he has clearly become a primary target. The IRGC issued a statement declaring that Netanyahu would be pursued as a target, stating that if he remains alive, efforts will continue until he is eliminated. At sea, the situation remains tense. The USS Gerald R. Ford carrier group is still operating in the Red Sea, with unclear intentions. Meanwhile, the USS Abraham Lincoln has been spotted in the Arabian Sea, over 1,000 kilometers away from Iran, possibly repositioning to avoid direct confrontation. In the South China Sea, a U.S. amphibious assault ship carrying thousands of Marines has been moving at unusually high speed, indicating urgent mission requirements. During the same period, Iran launched the 52nd to 54th waves of its True Promise operation and, for the first time, used the Sejjil ballistic missile in this conflict. This missile is considered one of Iran's most advanced systems, with a range of up to 2,500 kilometers and speeds reaching Mach 12 to 14. Iran also launched Khorramshahr, Ahmad missiles, cruise missiles, and multiple types of drones, targeting Israeli command centers, military facilities, and troop concentrations. Israel continued to suffer missile strikes, with multiple areas hit. Large craters were reported in central regions, and buildings were damaged by high-speed missile impacts. Even areas near the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem were affected. At the same time, Hezbollah intensified its attacks, targeting Israeli military positions and industrial facilities using rockets and anti-tank weapons. In Iraq, armed groups again struck U.S. targets. Rockets hit the Victory Air Base near Baghdad, including a facility used by U.S. personnel. Reports claim casualties among American troops, although details remain unclear. The U.S. Embassy also faced drone attacks, activating its defense systems. Meanwhile, the United States faces internal contradictions. While claiming Iran has been defeated, it is also pushing for an international coalition to secure the Strait of Hormuz. Trump has argued that countries relying on oil passing through the strait should take responsibility for its security. However, most nations are reluctant to participate. He has even suggested that if NATO allies refuse to help, U.S. support on issues like Ukraine could be reconsidered. He also expressed confidence that China could help resolve the situation, even hinting that diplomatic visits might be affected if cooperation does not happen. Japan, heavily dependent on imported oil, has been directly impacted. With over 70% of its oil passing through the Strait of Hormuz, disruptions have forced Tokyo to release emergency reserves to stabilize supply. As tensions rise, the global situation becomes increasingly unstable. The conflict is no longer just a regional issue. It is now affecting global energy markets, international alliances, and the balance of power. At this stage, no one can predict how far this war will go. But one thing is certain: the longer it continues, the more dangerous it becomes for the entire world.